Hi students, this is Professor Shrenik Shah and welcome to your own channel PhysiQ. I'm sure the chapter which I'm starting today is going to be very important for you, and the name of the chapter is Units and Dimensions or Measurements. Now ये जो टॉपिक है ये 11th और 12th सभी स्टूडेंट्स के लिए यूजफुल है. इनफैक्ट ये तुम्हारे फिजिक्स का फर्स्ट चैप्टर है and you can say that throughout this chapter you are going to learn a lot of new things which are going to be helpful for you for the next 2 years of your syllabus. Okay, so let's start with it, but before we go for it एक स्मॉल इंट्रोडक्शन देना चाहूँगा इस चैप्टर के बारे में. इस चैप्टर में तुम बहुत सारी चीज़ें पढ़ने वाले हो, जैसे कि मेजरमेंट्स क्या होता है, फिजिकल क्वांटिटी क्या होती है, यूनिट्स क्या होते हैं, यूनिट्स के टाइप क्या होते हैं, और उसकी बहुत सारी एक बड़ी लिस्ट जहाँ पे हम अलग अलग फिजिकल क्वांटिटी और उसके यूनिट्स के बारे में भी पढ़ेंगे. सो नाउ लेट्स गो फॉर इट. Questions are, what is measurements and what is physical quantity, right? So the answer to this, very simple. Measurements is a method or art or science to measure physical quantity. So basically measurement is a technique which helps you to measure or to learn how to measure physical quantity. So the next question is, what is a physical quantity? So physical quantity is a quantity which can be measured and have physical significance in the world. So physical quantity is a quantity which can be measured and have physical significance in the world. If I give you example, it can be length, time, speed, and so on. Now you might be thinking that what are those quantities which cannot be measured or have no significance in the world? Example for those which I can give you is, say, laughter or happiness or sadness. These are also some quantity, but to be very frank, you cannot measure them, and even if you find a way to measure it, it will have no importance in our world for the communication purpose, correct? So when you compare two people, you're not going to say that this person is laughing X times more than the person Y. Yes, and therefore this kind of quantities cannot be called as physical quantity. But yes, the quantities like length, time, and speed are known as physical quantity because they can be measured and they do have physical significance in the world. So here we have fundamental physical quantity and derived physical quantity. Let's try and understand them. Fundamental physical quantity are those physical quantities which are not dependent on any other physical quantities for its measurement. Basically, fundamental physical quantity are those which are defined on its own and they do not have any dependency on other physical quantity for its measurement. For example, length, time. You can also take mass,
and many more. Then derived physical quantity, if you want to learn, these are those physical quantities which are dependent on other physical quantities for its measurements. Example, area, which is kind of length into length. So when you take 2 times length and multiply them, only then you can find area. Then you can also use speed as a derived physical quantity, where you can say it is length divided by time, and many more such physical quantity can be had. Units. Now what exactly is units? Unit, I would say, it is a standard used for a given physical quantity for measurement. Say for example, length, we can have meter. For mass, we can have kilogram, gram, and so on. For time, we can have second, minute, hour, days, years, and so on. All these terms which you can see over here are units of their respective physical quantities. Can one physical quantity have multiple units? Answer is yes. You can have meter, centimeter, kilometer, miles, foot, and so on. For mass also you have kilogram, gram, milligram, pound, and other things. For time also you can have second, minute, hour, days, years, decades, centuries, so many other quantities or other units, right? But one important thing, you cannot convert this meter into kilogram, but you can definitely convert the meter into centimeter. The simplest way to write is 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeter. Now this conversion is very important. It is only between different units of same physical quantity. First thing. Second thing, whenever the unit is changed, the numerical value, the number associated with the unit also changes. So if you go from a higher unit to a smaller unit, a larger unit to a smaller unit, the numerical value, the number, will always go from a smaller value to a higher value. Let's say if you want to reverse this, we can also write 1 centimeter is equal to 0.01 meter, which means here I went from a smaller unit to a larger unit. Then the numerical value, the number associated with it, will reduce from a higher value to a smaller value. But every time, whenever I write a numerical value n1, there is an associated unit u1. Then if I have another numerical value n2, there is an associated unit u2. But this n1 u1 will always be equal to n2 u2. And so we can always say n is always inversely proportional to u, which means for a given measurement, if you use a smaller unit, then the numerical value for that measurement will be very large. And if you use a larger unit, the numerical value for that number or for that length or for that physical quantity will be very small. Now if I give you a very simple example, let's say we want to measure the distance between two cities. Don't you think we use something like miles and kilometers for that? But now what if we want to use the distance between two atoms in a molecule or two atoms in a solid? Don't you think that distance will be very tiny, very small, maybe something like in 10 raised to minus 6 or 10 raised to minus 9 meter? So for that, if we are using kilometers, it will be a wastage of unit or time to apply that concept, correct? So for that we use a unit called as angstrom unit. To explain that, we have 1 angstrom as 10 raised to minus 10 meter, or 1 nanometer as 10 raised to minus 9 meter, 1 micrometer as 10 raised to minus 6 meter, and so on. 1 millimeter as 10 raised to minus 3 meter, 1 centimeter as 10 raised to minus 2 meter. Then we can go for a higher value as 1 kilometer as 10 raised to 3 meter. So can you see that 1 meter can be represented in so many units? Now if we want to measure distance between two cities, this is the best unit to use, so we use kilometer. But if we want to measure the distance between two atoms or molecules, this or this is the best unit to use. Similarly, if we want to measure the thickness of a plate, the plate thickness, then this becomes the best unit to measure. So do you get this? For one length we have so many variety of units available, but we have to choose one standard so that they all can be represented with that one standard, and that standard which has been used over here for length is meter. So we do have different units for length, but the SI unit or the standard unit which we use for length is meter, and this is universally accepted. So you cannot raise question why meter only. Okay, so this is something which is chosen out of the available units, and this one is chosen by multiple scientists by or in a conference which was held in Paris. So we just have to accept this as a fact that meter becomes the standard unit for length of its measurement.
But now we're heading towards one important point, which is when we have a unit or when some scientist or some person define a unit. Now, how do we select whether that unit is a good unit or a bad unit? There must be some criteria for which we can fit in that whether this considered or a given unit is a good or bad, correct? So there are 6 points which are given as per the government or as per the international standards. The first point is it should be well defined. Yes, the unit must be well defined. For example, the example which we have already studied about the time. 1 second is defined as 9192371770, that entire big number of vibrations of cesium atomic clock. So when this experiment which has been done, the entire definition of 1 second is based on that cesium atomic clock vibrations. So that definition is unique and it is fixed. So that is not going to change. So this is the first criteria, that the unit must be well defined. Now the second criteria, it should be of suitable size, neither too small nor too large. Now why is this so important? The example which I have already given you, that if we want to compare the distance between two cities or two countries, it is better to measure them in kilometers or miles. But now when we want to compare the distance between the two atoms, two molecules, or the electrons and protons in an atom, then don't you think the unit which we require will be in the form of nanometer, micrometer and angstrom unit? Now angstrom, nanometer and micrometer is too smaller quantities. Kilometers, miles are too larger quantities. So now we have to select a unit which is somewhere in between, which can take care of both the needs. And that's why meter is selected as a suitable unit for length because it can take care of the smaller quantities as well as of the larger quantities, which means it should be of suitable size, neither too small nor too large. The third criteria, which is very important, is it should be easily available. Now just imagine that you want to measure some weight. So, for example, the best example I would give is if you go to a this sabji wala. हम सब्जी वाले के पास जाते हैं, सब्जी लेते हैं. कभी नोटिस किया है that if you are buying say 100 gram or 200 grams of some vegetables, sometimes that person does not have that 100 gram or 200 gram weight. वो एक पत्थर रख देता है. Now when that पत्थर रख देता है मतलब he is cheating on you? Definitely not. He is very honest about it. What we must have done is, अब उसके पास जो 100 ग्राम और 200 ग्राम का जो वेट था वो तो घूम गया, तो अब उसका सब्स्टिट्यूट क्या करेंगे? वो क्या करेगा, रास्ते में से बहुत सारे पत्थर जहां से भी मिल सकते हैं वहां से एक आध दो पत्थर उठाएगा, वेइंग पैन जो उसके पास ऑलरेडी है किसी और के पास से उसका 100 या 200 ग्राम थोड़ी देर के लिए कलेक्ट करेगा, एक पैन में वो 100 या 200 ग्राम का वेट रखेगा और दूसरे पैन में वो पत्थर रखेगा. Now he will try and substitute different पत्थर, different stones actually, और उसमें से जो stone परफेक्टली वे बैलेंस कर पाएगा 100 ग्राम या 200 ग्राम को, उसे वो 100 और 200 ग्राम की तरह यूज करेगा. That means if you do not have the weight available with you, which is actually quite easy to get, still you can manage by just substituting a stone in place of that weight. Isn't that simple? So that's how we can say it should be easily available. Correct? Now the fourth point is it should be invariable, which means does not change with space and time. That means if I have a time, length or mass or any physical quantity which is defined once, it should not change from India and for America, or in 1950 it was something else and in 2020 it will be something else. That does not work. Okay, so whatever definition or whatever unit which has been given, it has to be constant with respect to space and with respect to time. Yani it should be invariable. I hope you get that part. Now the fifth point is it should be universally accepted. अब ये तो मैं start of the lecture से बोले जा रहा हूँ, correct? हर एक चीज universally accepted होना बहुत जरूरी है. For example, even if I take the example which I have given you actually, the Chinese example, the Chinese language is accepted by so many people in China, but the remaining part of the world is not accepting that as a worldwide language, which means the Chinese language is not that suitable for the entire world because only one country, or maybe even the country is so huge, but still only one country of the globe is following that particular language. The remaining part of the globe is following a language called as English. Yani, even if that language is simple, maybe easy to use, blah blah blah, but if it is not accepted by the entire globe, that thing cannot be taken as a standard, which means the unit has to be accepted by the entire universe, which means the entire globe. The last point is it should be easily reproducible. Now when I say reproducible, it means from the one unit you can easily make the other things. The simplest example which I can give you, let's say I want to make a new scale out of the old scale. I guess it's quite simple. If you just take a cardboard, place the scale on top of the cardboard, draw the entire scale on it, and whatever markings are on the scale, just mark it on the piece of cardboard and cut that cardboard according to that scale size. Then don't you think you can use that cardboard itself as a scale? So you just reproduced a scale from the original scale which you already have. Isn't that simple? So basically all these points helps you to decide that whichever unit satisfies all this criteria, it means that's a good unit. So the units are, it should be well defined, it should be of suitable size, it should be easily available, it should be invariable, which means will not change with time and space. It should be universally accepted, and last, it should be reproducible. Now all these 6 points are very important, so I've written it down on the board
So you just have a look, and if possible, please copy it down in your notes also. Okay.
Here let's study fundamental units and derived units. As we can say, the definition is quite simple. The units which are used for fundamental physical quantity are called fundamental units. And I am sure you remember, the fundamental physical quantities are those physical quantities which are independent of any other physical quantity. For example, length, mass, time. But the fundamental units regarding that can be written as meter, kg, second. You can also write it as centimeter, gram, second. You can also have foot, pound, and second. Correct? Now, the derived units are the units which are used for derived physical quantity. For example, if we take area, we can say length into breadth as meter into meter, which is meter square. So this becomes an example of derived physical quantity. Now we can actually generalize this concept, that if I have a formula where I can say P is AB upon some CD, where P, A, B, C, D, all five are some physical quantities, I can say the unit of P will be equal to unit of A into unit of B upon unit of C into unit of D. So like you do normal mathematics, that if you have the formula as this and you have some values regarding the same, so similarly you can do it with unit also, and that's the way you can derive any derived unit from all the fundamental units if you are aware of. So here I give you some time to copy the part. Please copy this carefully. So guys, here we are going to learn about the fundamental physical quantities and their SI units. There are 7 fundamental physical quantity along with their units, starting with length, for which the unit is meter. Then we have mass, for which the unit is kilogram. Then we have time, for which the SI unit is second. Then we have current, the electric current, for which we have the unit ampere. Then we have temperature, for which the SI unit is Kelvin. Then we have luminous intensity, for which the unit is candela. And the last one is amount of substance, for which the unit is mole. Now every unit also have a symbol associated with it. For example, the meter we represent it as small m. For kilogram we use kg in small letters. For second we use small s. For ampere we use capital A. For Kelvin we use capital K. For candela we use small cd. And for mole we use mol. So this becomes the 7 fundamental physical quantity and their respective units along with symbols. Now, apart from the 7 fundamental physical quantity, there are 2 supplementary physical quantity. I repeat, supplementary. Now, what do I exactly mean by supplementary physical quantity? Please try and understand that initially in the Paris conference, these 7 fundamental physical quantities were added, as well as their units were added in the list of fundamentals. But later on there were 2 extra physical quantities which was added, which is, you can say, cannot be taken as a derived physical quantity, but it has to be added in the list of fundamental. And since they were added later, we gave it them a separate name as a supplementary physical quantity and SI units. Now these 2 physical quantities are plane angle and solid angle. For plane angle, the unit is radian, the symbol is RAD, and for solid angle, the unit is steradian, the symbol is STR. Now I give you a minute to just copy this entire list in your book. So make sure you copy the entire list in your book, and also remember all the names of the physical quantities and the units. Here I also repeat one thing, that this length, mass, time, current, temperature, luminous intensity and amount of substance, these are the 7 fundamental physical quantity, whereas the plane angle and the solid angle are called supplementary physical quantity.
सो गाइस, आई एम श्योर तुम्हें जो पहला पार्ट है इस चैप्टर का वो पूरी तरह से समझ गया है. उसमें जो सारे टर्म्स मैंने कवर किए हैं वो भी समझ गए हैं. एंड सो आई होप यू हैव अंडरस्टूड रियली एवरीथिंग. ओके, सो नाउ हियर वी आर डन विद द फर्स्ट पार्ट. Very soon I'm going to come with the second part of this particular chapter, part 2 of measurements, and I'm sure you are going to look forward to it. So प्लीज़, अगर अब तक तुमने हमारा चैनल सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया तो नीचे सब्सक्राइब का बटन है, प्लीज़ वो क्लिक कर दो और बेल आइकन भी क्लिक कर दो. जैसे जिससे हम जब भी तुम्हारे लिए वीडियोस अपलोड करें तो उसकी तुम्हें नोटिफिकेशंस मिलती रहे. ओके, बाय गाइस.